no repeats on this. It is a great honor for me today to lead this exuberant celebration of life for Roberta Pellegrino. Bobby entered into eternal rest on Wednesday, September 7th, 2017, having created a lasting legacy of love over her 82 years of life. After speaking with Bobby's daughters, I felt that Bobby was someone I really wished I had met. From what I learned, she was truly an amazing woman who touched the lives of everyone she came in contact with. Although Bobby was definitely not a traditionalist, she certainly went out of her way to make everyone feel welcomed, and strangers were always considered friends she just hadn't met yet. It is clear that this is how she would have wanted her life to be celebrated, as a gathering of friends and family, informal and not too serious. In 1967, Bobby married Leo, who is here with us today. 50 years of a loving and an amazing marriage, a milestone to which we all aspire. Until her last breath, he was the love of her romantic life. Her world revolved around Leo and her children, 3 of whom are here today to help us celebrate. There is no doubt that Bobby was a person generous of herself. Her gentle nature and a cutting sense of humor were gifts she shared freely with all she encountered. She was generous of spirit, encouraging and nurturing, supportive and empowering. Proverbs 11:25 states, "Those who live to bless others will have blessings heaped upon them, and the one who pours out his life to pour out blessings will be saturated with favor." This verse simply means a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes, others will be refreshed. I am sure that Bobby herself is being refreshed as we speak. We are also reminded today of Corinthians 13:4-7, that is so often heard in weddings that it's a little cliche. Love is patient, love is kind. It is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs, it always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. This verse seems to be the motto of Bobby's life. When you are the mother of a large family, you develop an ability to overlook a great deal. As long as the kids aren't hurting themselves, everything will be all right. Bobby always thought the best of people. She had a very short memory for anything negative and a very long memory for everything else. She was a glass half full person for sure. Good or bad, she could always be counted on for one more last chance. Yesterday we talked a little bit about her love of horses, in addition to her love for each of you. I heard how she would drive her Geo Metro right up to the rink to cheer on her children, whether they were on top of the horse or on the ground, and how no one ever dared to ask her to move her car. These are the memories that we need to hold close to our hearts in the days to come. This afternoon, you will hear examples of her generosity and compassion, as well as her great sense of humor. At this time, I'd like to welcome her oldest daughter, Ruth, to get the ball rolling.
Come on, Ruth. Thank you.
What can you say? The biggest, brightest light, the most meaningful hugs and kisses are never going to be gone from me. My mother always told me, one day we won't have a chance to do this. So you should save them up, like in a bank account. Mom wasn't very good at bank accounts, but she excelled at hugs and kisses. I never felt unloved. I always felt special. I was her Cinderella. There was never a time that my mother wasn't there for me or my family and half of the neighborhood. When Mom worked at McDonald's, our whole neighborhood received doggy bags, not even just the family. They could fill their freezers up. After school snack was definitely at the Sears house. I'll never forget the sneaky phone call in the middle of her shift. "Hey, you got to get down here for a pickup." So funny how we become our parents. There wasn't anything she wouldn't do to help anybody. She would have given you the shirt off of her back, and I mean that literally. She was larger than life. Sharp wit, a quick comeback, and the spicy sarcasm. Mom was the original sugar and spice. When my brother and I were growing up, because we are older than my sisters, I originally said much older, but felt very poorly about that. So I took that out. We were always impeccably dressed. Mom always liked to make sure she had that little paper towel or washcloth in like a plastic bag so she could wash our faces and our hands because she didn't want us to look messy. The same followed with my sisters, and then all of her grandchildren, and all of our children. Grandma was the answer to everything. If you had a problem with math, if you had a problem with the term paper, if you had a problem with understanding what you were reading, she went to the library and got the same book so you could look at it together and be on the same page on the telephone.
I used her library card, that's true.
If you had any problem with anything, there she goes again. If you had any problem with anything, it was Grandma to the rescue. She was the answer, and you know what? She still is the answer. She left us with so many tools to be able to manage our lives. I know the most important thing for Mom was that no matter what was going on, we should always love and take care of each other. I'll never forget 9:30 in the morning. I was pulling back into the bus yard, and there was that little green car waiting for me to punch out and walk down, and she'd be sitting there with a big smile on her face saying, "What are we doing today?" She was always adventurous, to say the least. She married my father. That's a pretty adventure. Who will always be the love of her life. Don't know what the secret was to that marriage. Not sure if it was ever going to be explained. Eighth wonder of the world. Unsolved mystery. But we're just going to leave that one alone. I just found out that she had another plan at lunchtime. But you're going to find out about that in a little while. Mom was there when my children were born. She was there the first day my son Richie got on the school bus. And she decided to embellish the neighborhood. She knows. I never knew my mother was going to be the first graffiti artist. She tagged the rocks with fluorescent paint, orange, with Richie's initials on it. I have to say the neighbor on the corner was not really impressed with it, but she got over it, and Richie was thrilled because he had his initials on the sitting rock, especially very large to a kid in kindergarten. The whole neighborhood dubbed my mother Rock Writer. Till this day, I just got a quick email from a family friend that could not be here today, and they live on the same road, and they said, it's just that they said Rock Writer is going to live on in infamy. There are so many things to say that I'm sure I'm a little bit too emotional to remember everything, but I'll sum it up for you. There is no greater love that a parent can give to a child, but to let them know how incredibly loved they are. Our mother exceeded in showing us how much she loved us. God bless us. We certainly have a lot to live up to her example. God bless you, Mom, and I love you to the moon and back. We're all going to be fine. That's the crazy part.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I know some of you have been really impressed with my fashion accessory here. I thought I'd share a little story about this. for all the jewelry that my mom had, and she was sort of a blingy woman. She enjoyed jewelry. The most precious item of jewelry she had was this lovely macaroni bead necklace, handmade by Darren at some point in his long, illustrious artist career.
I'm sure it was around the age of 20.
And this item, when it wasn't on Mom's neck, was hanging around the rearview mirror of that little green car. It was never far from her, and when I went to go look for it today to make sure that her most precious piece of jewelry was always going to be taken care of, it was right next to her bed. So it was very easy to find. Thank you, Darren, for this lovely accessory I'll wear forever. Ruth's right. Mom was always up for an adventure and dedicated to her family. After she visited with Ruth each day at 9:30 in the morning, turns out she frequently made her way to Poughkeepsie to come visit me for lunch every day when I started work. She was always on the go. Thinking a little farther back, Mom was truly there for everybody. Mom took Leah and I to a local riding stable here in Poquay to teach us to ride horses. When Leah first said, "I like horses," and I said, "I like dogs," and then I saw a horse and I realized Leah was right. And then Dad got a project in Pensacola, and we went to Pensacola. During that project, Mom took us for professional riding lessons, the first time we ever had anybody teach us other than her, every day after school. She picked us up at school. She drove us to the stable, she helped us tack up the horses, she cheered for us during our lessons, which eventually became a little embarrassing. Then she drove us home, and we were always home every night in plenty of time to make dinner for Dad, because God forbid he should have to wait for dinner. Never. Every day. It wasn't just one day after school, it was every day after school for 8 months she did that. And we often heard her explain to our instructors, Claudia and Lynn, that she was doing it to make sure that we could become safe and competent horsewomen, not just passengers, as if we were ever going to do anything else. Young or old, she never met a stranger. Everybody was someone she had not yet made a friend. One of her closest friends was Stephanie Rosenfeld. And Stephanie became Mom's friend after she rescued Stephanie's daughter, Jenny Lynn. I say rescued, but according to Mom, Jenny Lynn was wandering around Timor Park while Leah and I were getting swimming lessons, and she seemed lost. So Mom invited Jenny Lynn to come have ice cream with us while she found her mother for her, as if Stephanie had abandoned her or something in the park. From that day forward, they became Aunt Stephanie and our new cousin, Jenny Lynn, and they joined us for many family events, including pasta Sundays, and helping us even pick out the first horse that our family ever purchased, all because Mom saw a kid in need and decided she should do something about it, and that meant feed it ice cream. I guess she was a helicopter mom before the term was invented. I thought about this yesterday as I was thinking about what I wanted to say. She volunteered to chaperone every field trip, every school event, every dance competition, talent show, you name it, she was always at the school. She brought my guinea pig Dewey to school for show and tell more times than a guinea pig should ever be in a car. She even hauled our horse to the elementary school carnival so we could give pony rides to our friends. Now, Mary, the horse, was not excited about the carnival. We, on the other hand, were very excited about the carnival, and we had to leave because he wasn't ready to give pony rides at the carnival. The list goes on. Over the next couple of decades, Mom would continue to rescue other children of all ages. She occasionally picked up hitchhikers, much to Dad's chagrin, brought them home. She volunteered to host several exchange students from France. She also became the chauffeur of choice for many young people, including some of those that she worked with when she worked at McDonald's in Carmel. And according to Mom, it wasn't right that they should have to walk home after work, so she took them. Of course, she worked the late shift, and I can remember a time when I was in middle school that I was at a sleepover at one of my friends' houses, and I realized I didn't want to be at a sleepover at one of my friends' houses. So at the end of her shift, which would have had to have been after midnight, I called her at McDonald's and said, "Can you come pick me up?" And she had to go way out of her way from Carmel to Poughkeepsie, back to Poquay, but she came and got me, never asked another question. So she rescued me and made sure I got home to my own bed. Thank you for the moral support. Another memorable independence building moment, clearly I don't have any independence, I need support, was in October of 1987. I was just telling this story to Lenny and Karen that Dad, Lenny, and Dick were at the hunting cabin in October of 1987, and we had a very early snowstorm that year. It doesn't usually snow in October, but apparently Mother Nature had another plan for us. So the guys were away doing whatever they did while they were at the hunting cabin. And Mom and I were home. I still to this day don't know where Leah was. She should have been home with us, but I know she wasn't there. And Mom, as a pioneer woman, taught me how to bring in firewood and fill up buckets in the tub with water just in case the power went out, which it did for 5 days. And she also showed me how to start the fireplace, the potbelly stove, how to cook on the Coleman camp stove. It was like a regular pioneer woman adventure right there in our living room in front of the fireplace in sleeping bags. Ultimately, Dad and Lenny and Dick came home having cut down trees the whole way, which was great because the driveway was filled with snow and we weren't about to attempt to snowplow or chainsaw our way out of it. So we were pretty happy that they came back. As an adult, even after I moved to California, which is 16 years ago, I occasionally had the need to make late-night phone calls to Mom. She never minded. She may have answered half asleep, but as soon as she heard my voice, she perked right up with a hearty, "I love you!" It wasn't even, "Hi, Jennifer." It was always, "I love you!" She could have been talking to the mailman. She didn't. And listen to anything I needed to discuss. Relationships, work, school, horses, no matter what the subject, she listened and offered her best Jewish mother advice and was never disappointed when I did the exact opposite of what she had suggested I do. Sometimes it took years for me to realize that she was right with her advice all along. Thinking about what I'll miss most about Mom is really overwhelming. She imparted independence to us even when she didn't seem to exhibit any herself. She showed us what it's like to stick with something. She was a very stand by your fill in the blank, man, kid, whatever sort of person. She shared her love of education and lifelong learning, including the need to be in front of the TV at 7 p.m. nightly for Jeopardy! She was the proofreader to every single school assignment and even quite a few professional ones after I started working for a living. She was also Google before Google, as my phone a friend for grammar and spelling before I could just look it up. I see some of Mom's characteristics more strongly in others than I see them in myself when I reflect about Mom and her legacy. Like Mom, Ruth works tirelessly to make others happy. Like Mom, Leah is an excellent storyteller, and she even taught me how to read. And in a few key ways, I too am her daughter. I'm quick to laugh things off and not take myself or others too seriously. For that, I really appreciate her. Thank you, Mom. I know all the lessons will continue to serve me well into the future. I would like to introduce our next speaker, who will be Darren.
Oh. Okay. You know about that.
For a while.
He had the same posture when he would do 4-H.
My grandmother, Roberta Pellegrino, a.k.a. Wombat, Bobby, Mom, and Grandma, was an amazing woman who was sneaky and loving and would give you the world if she could only find it in her bra. You guys know where that is. It's the vault. As most of you know, growing up, I spent a majority of my childhood at my grandparents' house. My grandmother was more than any grandson could ask for. From being read bedtime stories and learning how to gamble playing cards with Aunt Anne, to making highball amaretto sours on the sweet side and driving lessons at the age of 12. She was more than Grandma. Hold on. She was my best friend and my biggest fan. Countless times she'd tell me, the moment I saw you in the hospital, I knew I loved you. I'm fine.
I saw you in the hospital too.
And I'm so proud of you. Things I'll never forget. So I asked myself, and I answered. Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo! I have a car, I will drive. And hey, Darren! All things I heard regularly. Growing up, she was my dictionary, thesaurus, encyclopedia. Grandma was Google. She had all the answers, no matter how obscure the question was. We'd watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune as we ate dinner together. And if Grandpa got upset and called me a dummy, she'd whisper in my ear, "That's because he loves her."
That's not true, Darren. I'm sorry.
I'm figuring that out later on in life. When I fought with my mother as a teenager, who did I call? Grandma. And when I got arrested and in trouble in Florida, who did I call? Grandma. The statement, you don't
Is
know.
that where the scam comes from?
The statement, you don't know what you have until it's gone, not for me. I knew all along. She was an amazing person. Anytime and anywhere. She would never hesitate to look at any pretty girl in the room and boast that she had the best grandson.
Go
She
Darren.
was the #1 wingman. A quick side story. About a year ago, I called my mother, who I do regularly. And she was at my grandparents' house. And naturally, as she always does with every single person, she puts me on speakerphone.
Oh.
And attempts to multitask what she's doing, which is not her strong point. I could hear my grandmother in the background having a hard time breathing. And I asked, "What the hell's going on?" She explained to me that they were in the bedroom and Grandma was on her back in bed. And because of the position that she was in on her back, she had a little difficulty breathing. And I could hear in the background my grandmother go, "I've done most of my best work from this position."
That was my mother.
She was always making silly sexual innuendos and jokes, but keeping true to her form and who she was. And always loving the people that she called her best work for kids. Immediately,
Grandma's listening.
immediately after she passed, my mother looked at me and says, "Now what do I do?" I said, "Keep moving forward. Because you never wanted to stop." So, I guess that I want to thank everybody that showed up today and being part of our family. So many of you were added to this dysfunctional group by the loving and caring person that we're here to celebrate. And I want to thank you all for being part of this.
Thank you. Deb. Great.
Did you bring a tissue with you?
He brought a wife with him.
No, her, because she's worse than he is.
Well, it's okay. So make sure you're prepared. So, well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming and celebrating the life of my grandmother. If anyone is to ever look up the definition of grandma, Roberta was, her picture was right next to it. Whenever I came over, Grandma only ever wanted hugs, kisses, and I love yous. When I was little, she was always the one to count on for love and support. If it wasn't my mom, she and Grandpa used to come and drive me to ride my horse twice a week because my mom couldn't do it, and I couldn't drive yet. And I mind you, that drive from the middle school up to Clinton Corners had to be at least 45 minutes to an hour, and then they would go back to their house and do it all over again because they loved me so much. Damn it, Kelly!
She had it together until you said that.
She wouldn't.
Okay until you said that.
And so did I.
Sorry, Grandma. You didn't like the curse. One of my favorite memories of Grandma was when we went to Time Warp Park and she Grandma loved to swim. She was an excellent swimmer, other than just being an amazing woman. She would help me pick out cute guys while I was there. just like Darren, you know, she was the best wing woman. She was better than most of my single friends. And to make this short and sweet, I loved my grandma so much, more than anything in this world, other than my family and all that good stuff. She was always a woman who wanted to give the world and every piece of whom she loved part of it. She was the glue in a lot of ways that bonded most of us together, and I hope in her honor of her loving memory will continue to keep the family together as she would have wanted, because she loved all of us so much.
How the hell did she do better than me?
I don't want to make you nervous, I'm not reading from this.
That seemed like a lot of no's.
Chapter 1.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Really, it's mostly blank, I promise. It's blank. I was my sister's first project. She was 9 years older than I. And when I was born and brought home from the hospital, we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, New York. We shared a bedroom, 3 of us. I have an older brother who is 3 years older than I, my sister, and me. Guess who got the short end of the stick? Dare he touch me? Dare he upset me? I had this pit bull who slept next to me and was bigger than both of us and wouldn't let anybody do a goddamn thing to me. So everybody talks about her protecting. Yep, I got it too. I did have a chance to return the favor. We went to the beach one day and these guys threatened to throw her in the water, and she did have a figure, well, you've seen her. And I didn't like the idea of them bothering my sister, and I said, don't touch her, leave her alone. They didn't listen. I got down and I bit them on the leg. Needless to say, that was not my proudest moment, because I was whisked by my sister from the beach with all kinds of threats of dire consequences for what I had done. I will never go back here ever again. You've ruined it for me. I can never show my face. Oh my God, oh my God. And so I have upset this protector, this person, this lover, and she was a lover of everything and everyone. And we get back to the house, and I am now at that throes of childhood where you are going, because I've upset the person I meant to take care of. She continues screaming. We live on the 2nd floor of an apartment house, and my father, who had this very deep voice, and when he was upset, he did not raise his voice, he lowered it. Opened the door to the apartment, and we hear his voice. The 2 of you had better get in here now. Come into the apartment. He looks at me and I'm... He says, you, quiet. What's going on? And she pours out this heart-rending story of me biting a man in her defense. I want you to know you're very lucky I never did that. Biting a man in her defense. And he looks at her and he says, I don't know what you're complaining about. You have been begging for a dog. So I became her constant companion. After about another 3 months, she even took me back to the beach. I will always be grateful for having Roberta in my life as my protector, my big sister. Did she have an easy life? No. But she tried to make lives better for everybody around her. There is one picture that is not on that board. I held it out. I don't know that it's big enough for everybody to see, but the essence of Roberta is captured in this one picture. You'll have to pass it around.
That's fabulous. May I share
Yes,
with the rest
absolutely.
of the room?
Yes, Vanna whited around for everybody to see.
Okay, Darren, thank you. I wasn't sure what to do.
I'll start it over at this end because I have a smaller version that Ruth can hold on to. This is the essence of my sister.
I did not get that flexibility, and if I did, I don't have it anymore.
Right there, full set.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
She was just bragging she could touch her feet.
My sister Roberta was definitely very unique. And what I learned the most from her is what it means to be fiercely loyal to your family and how to be fiercely protective of the people who you love. And that's an example she set that I picked up a long, long time ago and have tried to follow. There was no one who could touch anybody in the family that Roberta wouldn't be looking to take care of. Roberta told me that when Jennifer was going to Dutchess Community, she would come at night to pick you up. And she said she'd be sitting in the car with her 45. And when she said that she was sitting in the car with her 45, she meant it.
Yeah.
And a book.
And a book.
She was a book club before Oprah.
And you didn't mess with Roberta.
Nope.
There was a time I had a company, we were doing security system installations, and we were doing a house in the area up here. And Roberta had called and said, "You're going to be up in the area or I'll bring lunch. How many people do you have working with you?" And I said, "I have 3 people. She said, "Okay, we'll drop off sandwiches." I didn't think anything more of it, but I probably should have. We're doing work at a big house, and about lunchtime, a truck pulls up. Roberta gets out, Ruthie gets out, the 2 dogs get out, and Roberta is putting a tablecloth over the picnic tables to set up the table for lunch, and Ruthie's in the house looking through the people's cabinets for a bowl to give water to the dog, and I'm sitting here saying, if this customer shows up back home, we've taken over their house, the dogs are running around, Roberta's setting up the picnic table, and all she gave a shit about was, I'm bringing lunch to my brother. Nothing else mattered. And that was my sister.
That's right. Exactly.
And that was literally it. Nothing else mattered. I'm bringing lunch. So we ate really quick. I tried to get Ruthie, Roberta, and the dogs and everything. Yeah. But that's who Roberta was, and the example she set for me, I continue to try to follow. She had a fierce loyalty to family and a fierce protective nature for the people she loved that is larger than anything I've ever seen from anybody ever. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff? Lee?
Somebody out here want to speak? Oh, I'm so sorry.
On the conclusion.
Oh, good.
As we conclude our time together, I would like to share a poem with you called She Is Gone. You can shed tears that she is gone, or you can smile because she has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that she will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or it can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember her and only that she is gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you could do what she would want, smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.